Dear audience, welcome again at the Budapest Eurasia Forum 2024. After the remarkable panel discussion on multilateral cooperation, we move to our last thematic session with education. The panel, titled The Talent Imperative, Bridging Knowledge, Technology and Entrepreneurship, uniquely brings together luminaries from leading Eurasian universities, startup incubators and innovation hubs, showcasing their exemplary practices in nurturing and developing talent for a technology-centric world. Our distinguished speakers will explore the world of university startup projects and innovation hubs, understanding their pivotal role in talent development, and discover how academic and entrepreneurial worlds intertwine to cultivate the next generation of leaders and innovators. As the panel will start with a fireside chat, let me first invite the moderator, Mr. András BALATONI, Director of the Economic Forecast and Analysis Directorate at the Central Bank of Hungary. Thank you, Mr. BALATONI. Mr. BALATONI has been actively involved in the establishment of the Hungarian Innovation Hub. He plays a key role in supporting business integration by connecting the key players of the industry with the Innovation Hub, and also contributes as a lecturer, sharing his expertise to inspire the next generation of innovators and inspire us today. Thank you. And please also give a warm welcome to Mr. JIAO, Dean, Chair Professor and Doctoral Supervisor of PBC School of Finance at Tsinghua University. Mr. JIAO is also Dean of Tsinghua University Institute for State-Owned Assets Management, Director of Research Center for China's Industrial Development at School of Economics and Management, and also Chief Economist and Honorary Chief Editor of State Assets Management. Professor JIAO, welcome. Director BALATONI, Professor JIAO, we are eager to hear your conversation on education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melita, and thank you very much for being here. I know that it is in the afternoon, Friday afternoon, so but hopefully we are going to give you some interesting insights about the Chinese higher education, how you are going to boost the innovation and entrepreneurship in the meantime. So thank you very much for having me and for having us. As far as I see, you know, the keywords of the success are talent, knowledge, and technology. So and capital by the end of the story. So we are going to cover 3/4 of the total success in the university panel. So we think that universities play a pivotal role in economic prosperity. Professor JIAO, would you be so kind to introduce us a bit your university? What are the strengths of your university? How many people are learning there? We are really curious. What are the basic parameters of that university?
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us here. This is my first time being in Budapest. I think everything is very impressive. I think that will be a very good start for our cooperation in the future. And also, I feel very honored to participate in the Budapest Eurasian Forum 2024. I would also like to extend my warm congratulations to the 100th anniversary of the IMNB. So thank you very much. I come from Tsinghua PBC School of Finance, or PBCSF. Our school was established in 1981 as the graduate school of People's Bank of China. In 2012, our school was merged formally into Tsinghua University. So such close connection, such close collaboration between top university and the central bank is quite unusual and is unmatched by any other business school in China. Our school developed very fast. Our mission is leading financial education and research for national and global prosperity, and we step forward steadily toward this aim. We aim to become the world-class business school in the near future. But nowadays in China, I think it's safe to say that we are the #1 in finance education. But in the future, we hope we can be a comprehensive, business school in other areas. We offer various of degree and non-degree programs. I'll give you some number. For example, we offer master in PhD, master in finance, and a master of science tech plus finance. We also have a dual degree program cooperating with Cornell University. Actually, this dual degree MBA program remains the only one in mainland China so far who can award a regional MBA program by the so-called Ivy League universities of the United States. We also offer a high-level EMBA program. This program, we have a lot of high-profile entrepreneurs and some unicorn startups, and also some very successful family business successors. So it's during the past decade, I think we have cultivated over 3,000 EMBA students. I think 1,000 of these 3,000 EMBA alumni are controlling shareholders of the listed companies in Chinese market, and also 100 of our EMBA alumni are also the controlling shareholders of China 500 private companies. So that's quite amazing. So as of 2024, we have totally cultivated, I think, nearly 8,000 alumni. So these 8,000 alumni are basically, as I mentioned, high-end, entrepreneurial, and globally minded financial talents. Another program I want to mention a little bit is the Belt and Road EMBA program. That's part of our EMBA program, but this is quite unique. Actually, our school pioneered this program a couple of years ago, and I think 80% of our Belt and Road EMBA program coming from certain country and regions of Belt and Road region. So I think it's quite unique in Chinese market and also in Asian areas. Our school is also called the cradle of financial talents, because a lot of senior officials and top executives of Chinese financial regulatory institutions, agencies, graduate of our school. So we are very proud of the alumni we have cultivated in the past decade. We also focus on think tank. So each year we have a lot of important internal reports which have powerful impact, very important impact on China's financial strategic initiatives. And I think some of these reports were adopted or approved by the central government, which further have important impact on Chinese macroeconomic decision making. So that's the basic description of our school. So we look forward to working with global partners to advance academic research, exchange program, and also policy studies.
Right. So actually, you answered my second question, which was the Belt and Road Initiative and how you are going to contribute that. But as far as I heard, you already answered that. So our most important bottleneck at the moment in the middle income position in Hungary is entrepreneurship. And we are quite good in innovation. We have nice universities in Hungary as well. We have fresh Nobel warriors in Hungary. They solved the virus crisis, so we are very proud of Karikó Katalin and Mr. Kraus as well. But in the meantime, it is really hard to see any any products by the end of those nice innovative stories in Hungary, at least. The problem is that those kind of new goods and services are usually produced in US or in Western European countries or in China. So how do you boost entrepreneurship? How do you provide the sufficient, fuel for the students that they can be entrepreneur, and through that kind of entrepreneurial mindset, they can change the world with supplying goods and services. How can we in Hungary boost the entrepreneur mindset of the Hungarian students?
Okay, that's a good question. But I think it's hard to give a very comprehensive answer to such a question. For example, China focuses on the so-called strategy of talent and the innovation-driven and education. I think at the core is the education, because education has very far-reaching impact on all the other aspects. In our school, we address this problem in the following ways. First, I think we have developed a very comprehensive talent cultivation system. For example, during the past years, we developed 3 categories and 7 programs covering nearly the whole life cycle of technology innovation, technology transformation, and the commercialization and the growth of the company, of the business. So that's quite important. We also designed unique courses connecting the study and the practice. We strongly encourage our professor to apply their research to their teaching in the classroom, so that students can learn the first-hand information and the knowledge professor and apply what they learned in their own practice. And also we designed some substantial program. For example, I think 3 years ago, we launched the first master program, the Master of Science, Tech plus Finance. I think the first one in China. In this program, the majority of the students have already been successors. They have been very successful in their own business. So they were enrolled in our program. They study part-time. They study in the classroom and communicate with professors, and then apply their learning in their own business. So during the past years, I think the students their business grow very fast. According to our calculation, I think they have raised, I think the number is 19 billion RMB of investment fund, and there are several businesses of our students already been listed after they get enrolled in our program. I think out of these are good example of how we have cultivated a comprehensive talent cultivation system. As you mentioned, it's kind of an ecosystem to cultivate talents. And the second is, I think we fully leverage and utilize Tsinghua University's advantages. Tsinghua is quite famous and has special advantage in engineering, in medicine, in AI, in many other areas. And so as part of Tsinghua University, we communicate frequently with other departments and schools. And also we encourage our students to choose to select courses in other schools and the departments, so that we can cultivate more and more interdisciplinary students. That's also quite important. And last but not least, I think given the close connection of finance with other areas, with engineering, with other areas, I think we should not focus on teaching students finance techniques. We also encourage students to focus more about other holistic or important aspects, such as value, culture, ethics. Actually, in our school, we are the first to offer the course of financial ethics. We hope our students can build the science of finance ethics in their job placement and in their future development. So I think all of these will help students to become, they're not just strong in finance, but also in technology, innovation, and also in value and culture. That's, beneficial in the long run.
That is very interesting. And Laszlo Szabó said to me once, who is the head of the Hungarian Innovation Hub, and the next panel is going to be moderated by him, that the cross-fertility is very important when it comes to ideas and thoughts. And what you have just mentioned, that confirms that if you connect different knowledge from different people, different department of your university, that is usually beneficial. My last question is about the industrial relationship. How do you build up bridges with the industry or with the finance guys, at least who are already on the market? You have mentioned already the alumni; those are very important for you, as far as I get this. But how do you build that kind of bridges or system of bridges with the already existing industrial complexes or companies? How much connections do you have with those companies?
Okay, that's also a very good question. How to bridge, basically the learning, the business with innovation and the other area. I think first, as I mentioned earlier, we tried to build a comprehensive talent education system. I think that's important for our students to have very solid foundation for their not only study but also for their future work. In our school, I strongly encourage our faculty member to study the real world question and apply their research achievement in their teaching. And also we develop a couple of innovation courses. And also I think as I mentioned earlier, we launched the first master program, so-called Science Tech plus Finance. That's quite new in Chinese market. So I think all of these are quite important. And also we have, in our school, we have several think tanks. For example, Tsinghua National Finance Center and Tsinghua University Institute of FinTech. And also we have over 30 research centers in our school, covering nearly all areas of the current financial development. We also collaborate with other departments and schools. So far, we have covered the fintech, the green finance, pension finance, inclusive finance, and digital finance. So we give students enough opportunities to study the real world question. And we strongly encourage the professors to get active involvement in this process to help students grow. And also, I think we tried a lot to expand to establish international relationships with other outsiders. For example, the Belt, as I mentioned earlier, the Belt and Road the initiative, basically President Xi Jinping the vision of building shared future for humanity and the Belt and Road Initiative. I think all of these are deeply rooted in China's culture of harmony and mutual respect. So we initiated several international programs to boost the cooperation between our school with other strategic partners. We signed a contract with Cornell, with Chicago Booth Business School, and just this time, yesterday we feel very honored to sign a quadrilateral MOU with the MNB, with the Budapest Metropolitan University and with the Van Neumann University. I think this university and including the MAB are quite strong in technology and in solving real world problems. I think in this way, we can further advance the development of finance, education, research, and also bridge the school and the real society. And also at the same time, we try to use some forums or platforms. For example, I think this forum is quite amazing. I think in today's world of fast change, I think such communication and dialogue is quite beneficial to all of participants. Similarly, in our school, we have such platforms. Each year, we organize Tsinghua PBCSF financial global finance forum, and also China Financial Research Conference. All of these forums and the platform will bring together the investors, the scholars, and the professors, and including some, real industry, leaders come together to address the challenges we face together. So in this way, we could be bridge school and the society, and bridge finance with social economics, with technology, with innovation. Yeah, that's about.
That is very interesting to hear that how complex your system is to turn ideas into impact. So thank you very much, and we are going to go a long way with our universities in that direction. And thank you very much for the cooperation and for being here. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you, my honor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. BALATONI and Professor JIAO, for this exciting discussion. It's a great start to the panel that is indeed, as Mr. BALATONI mentioned, moderated by Mr. László Szabó. Mr. László Szabó is the founder and head of the Hungarian Innovation Hub, and he also served as Hungary's ambassador to the United States and was Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Mr. Szabó, thank you very much. Please come on stage. Let me also invite the discussants of the panel. First, please warmly welcome Mr. Andris BAUMANIS, CEO of UniLab, on stage. Mr. BAUMANIS is an accomplished leader in venture capital, startups, and public financial management, with over a decade of experience in high-level management and early-stage investment roles. He currently serves as a member of the management board at both Commercialization Reactor Fund and the Science University Tech Accelerator, UniLab. Welcome. I would also like to invite Mr. Bruno Lamven to join us on stage. Mr. Lamven is currently the president of IMD's Smart City Observatory and a distinguished fellow at INSEAD. He is the co-founder and co-author of 4 of the most widely used global indices on technology, innovation, talent, and smart cities. He is also the author of the Future Readiness Economic Index Report. Welcome, Mr. Lamven. Please also give a warm welcome to David To, Chief Executive Officer and Director of Intuitive, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Nanyang Technological University of Singapore, responsible for commercializing the university's scientific research and incubating startups. Before joining Intuitive in 2013, Mr. To spent 20 years in the finance industry at ING Barings, Lehman Brothers, and DBS Asset Management as a top-rated technology sector analyst and fund manager. Welcome, Mr. To. And I am also pleased to invite on stage Mr. Qi Zhang, Vice Dean and Professor at School of International Relations and Public Affairs of Fudan University. Mr. Zhang also serves as the Director of the Center for People-to-People Exchange Studies and the Director of the Center for French Studies at Fudan University. Thank you, Mr. Zhang, for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, what an exceptional composition of panelists to talk about education. Thank you very much. It's great to have you here. And let's start the panel discussion.
Wow, such a strong panel we have here. I started to count, but I lost count actually. We have more than 100 years of experience here of higher education and innovation. So I believe we are having a very strong and very exciting discussion here. And for some of you, this is not the first time in Budapest. So this is great. You maybe have some perspective of how things are moving. Once you sit down with a Hungarian at a dinner table, within 5 or 10 minutes, they will start talking about the great innovations they gave to the world. I don't know if you have had this experience. We invented the safety match, the carbonated water, holography, the first electric engine, the dynamo, the conveyor belt, the helicopter, the color TV, the vinyl records, Rubik's Cube, and I could go on forever. Oh, the atomic bomb as well. So there's lots of innovation there, but many of our, or most of our Nobel Prize winners actually won their prize somewhere else. So we have this well-diagnosed disease that we are great at inventing things, but we are really, really bad at commercializing things. So we have a lot to learn. Luckily, our ecosystem developed quite a lot in the last few years, and I believe we have the major ingredients for a successful setup, but we are still years behind the institutions you represent here, and your work is obviously years, if not decades ahead of our ecosystem maturity. So I would really like to learn about your current experiences and your perspectives on the future. My first question would go to Mr. BAUMANIS first, who has at least 2 jobs right now, as I can see it. First of all, I would love to learn about UniLab, what you lead. And I also, this is not an official question, but you work with this commercialization reactor. This sounds very exciting. Can you tell us a few words about it? And also, Latvia and the other Baltic states as well, they have been a miracle in the past few years or decades. The type of growth you have had is really amazing on the field of innovation. And Hungarians, similarly, small country, but somehow we still don't have all the things put together. So can you tell us the secret sauce?
Well, of course, I'm not sure whether I can tell you the secret sauce. So, well, first of all, thank you for welcoming me here. I scrolled down the participants list and I couldn't notice that I'm the only one from Baltics here in this event, and I much appreciate for welcoming me here. And it was many years ago since I was last time in Budapest, and I'm happy to be here again. So to kick off slightly about what UniLab is and what we are doing there. So to begin with, so first it's Joint Science University Accelerator for all 4. We have 4 science universities in Latvia. All 4 super diverse, and so what we came to a conclusion that we need the joint accelerator in order to support the talent and the future founders of the universities, and to support the science commercialization where it is relevant, but also look at from a broader perspective, also to foster the overall entrepreneurial spirit within the university ecosystem. That's the whole point. But the underlying philosophy and my belief is for 2 things. The first, the future founders are born in universities. That's a given, I think. And sometimes the VCs, I think that investment targets come, I don't know, I'm not sure where the VCs mostly think where investment targets come from, but I'm quite confident that the investment targets come from the emerging founders from the university ecosystem, and it well depends from how well educated and capable and talented they are. And that gives grounds for any future deal flow or any future so to be unicorns or successful companies to be born. So that's a belief number 1. Belief number 2 is that all disruptive technologies, I believe in most cases, also come from science universities and from research institutions. So combining these these 2 things together, our belief is that by joining, not competing with already very small economy, makes very much sense. So this is the reason why all 4 science universities have agreed on common objectives on fostering both the entrepreneurial spirit and the science commercialization. So this is the point number 1. And you asked the off-topic question, what I'm doing at Commercialization Reactor Fund, and this is a good one. Basically, this is a deep tech pre-seed fund. We've been investing in mostly in tech transfer, in most cases being the first pre-seed investor in tech transfer startups, called them deep tech startups, from universities, be it from Latvian universities or other European universities. We act more of a venture studio type of activities, so basically mixing and creating new teams by surrounding future entrepreneurs around the scientists, and thus forming new teams. So, and this is the logics also behind the UniLab itself, though the ultimate target is so that we can make these super early, I mean like super early founder teams mature enough to being able to attract the first investments after they graduate. So within a reasonable time frame after they go through our program, they are able to attract funding. Obviously, we know that it's not going to happen with all of them, but for most part, yes. And so, yeah, I think that the highest challenge, and to kind of wrap up my long talk here, is that basically what I'm dealing is with trying to change the mindset of those future founders coming to the universities, because they've got used to doing the research, focusing very much on the product. But what we are trying to do is move away their focus from putting things physically together to think about the customers. So, and this is the super high challenge, because they rarely think about the customers. And when you see a market demand for any of the technologies or your ideas or products, then it makes sense, and then it gives an impact. You know, this is in short.
It sounds so easy when you say it.
Yeah, super easy.
Mr. Landven, you created the Global Talent Competitiveness Index. Can you tell us something about it? What do you measure, and what can you do with it?
Yes, thank you. First, I can't refrain from hearing your introduction about the feeling in Hungary that so many things have been invented and so little reach the market. We share something like that in France as well. And but not just in the area of technology. We often say that the Chinese invented bureaucracy, but we've perfected it. So there are different ways in which you can add to the global amount of innovation worldwide. Back to your question and the talent index. Yes, we started actually last year, we launched the 10th edition of the Global Talent Competitiveness Index. But there are two things to keep in mind. The first is that the Global Talent Index did not come out from a void. It was actually the result of our work on innovation. We had the Global Innovation Index, and we were getting more and more data on the talent side, because we had identified talent as a critical ingredient in innovation, and this is why we decided to have a separate index. But this filiation between innovation and talent remains at the core of why we did it. The second thing is that all those global indices, and right now I do 5 of them, is not about giving medals. It's not the Olympics of global competition. It is supposed to deliver a tool for action. It is a way to benchmark your own performance as a nation state, as a city, and to compare it not only to those of your competitors, but also to your own performance across time. So if it is not going to enhance the way in which countries, cities, and other players act on innovation and talent, it's useless. We should not do it. So that I wanted to flag from the start. Now, when we launched the 10th edition last year, we thought it was a good time to look at the lessons we had learned out of the first 10 years. And one of those lessons is that national innovation strategies are very good, but they are not enough. They are very good if they fulfill 2 predicaments. The first one is that they should be long-term. And if we look at the most successful countries in innovation over the last decades, when they had a national strategy, it was based on a national vision. It was typically 20 years, 50 years down the line. The second one is that the support brought to innovation needs to be continuous. There's no stop and go in innovation. If you put 5% of your GDP into innovation 1 year and cease to do it the next year, you lose the benefits. So this continuity is critically important. And when we apply that to the field of talent, we discover that although we need those national strategies, we need those long-term perspectives, in the end, innovation is local. It is the local ecosystem that will actually create innovation and allow innovative talent to meet with success. What does it mean? It means that, and we reflected that in the Innovation Index already several years ago, we need to look at clusters. We need to look how they perform. And when we see that the top of clusters worldwide is in Shenzhen, in Yokohama, we very quickly see that the geography of clusters is not the geography of nation states competing for talent or innovation. That's the first lesson we draw. The second consequence is that, and I'm just back from Saudi Arabia, where I had a hard time explaining that it's not by just throwing money at things that you make them work. And clearly, the new decision makers in Saudi Arabia have understood it. They still don't know how to do it exactly, but they got the message. And I gave them 2 principles to chew on. The first one is that you don't build ecosystems, you grow ecosystems. You throw the foundation, you start it up, and then you have to rely on serendipity, on a number of unpredictable events, personalities, crossbreeding and fertilization. All of that you cannot predict, and you should not try to predict. But you can create the conditions for success. The second principle is a word that I think applies very much to talent and innovation, which has not been used very much in economics right now, is the word stigmergy. Stigmergy is a concept that has been used very much in biological sciences and social sciences. It is a principle by which, to give you an example, ants or termites build this huge edifice. There's no blueprint. There's not an architect in one side saying, you take this part and you bring it there. But there are individual behaviors that consist in taking a step and leaving a signal. And that signal is interpreted by the next one who will do something different. But altogether, it gives coherence. This is very much what I believe innovative ecosystems are about. So I believe that applying stigmergy to the way in which you manage talents, you can go a long way. And clearly, and I will finish here because I know we're going to come back to that later, universities have a key role to play in that. One of them, of course, is to bring more of a business conscious to people who are generally more comfortable with abstraction and equations. So giving them that part of the education is clearly important, but universities should not forget that they have a much older mission, which is to bring together science and technology. And that tends sometimes to be forgotten. I've seen a number of very successful university hubs that focus on attracting the right students, focusing exclusively on technology. We are going to see what I call deep innovation coming in, and the linkage between fundamental science and technology will become increasingly more strategic. Now, people say, but where do you draw the line? What is the difference between technology and science? It's imprecise, and it changes over time. But I would say that science is typically what a grandmother can teach her granddaughter, and technology is the other way around. So we have a generational effect by which this border is changing. And I would like to insist on the fact that COVID has changed everything about talent and innovation. We've learned to work online. We've learned to work on virtual teams. And this translates into a new definition of the global mobility of talent. Talent with a good broadband connection can work from anywhere. Where do they choose to work? Quality of life becomes a critical example. Critical condition. This is why countries like Switzerland, like the Nordic countries, like the Baltic states, have proved so efficient at attracting talent. There is an intrinsic quality of life, which is becoming a super element, overarching element, when our younger generations are increasingly motivated by impact and by other elements which have little to do with just financial remuneration.
I'm very glad you said that, because I believe Budapest is one of the sexiest cities now in Europe. So at least we have that ingredient right. So thank you. You gave us some very interesting definitions, and I really love your train of thoughts. Mr. To, you are from Singapore. Singapore is probably one of the most innovative cities or structures or focal points of Southeast Asia. And you have worked with Nanyang Technological University for quite a while. I believe you are leading this intuitive company, which is your innovation hub, for 11 years or so. Tell us about it. How do you match talent with knowledge and innovation? What is your work process?
Okay, thank you very much. So I joined the university 11 years ago in 2013. Prior to that, I spent 20 years in investment banking and fund management. And then before that, I was a process engineer, wafer fabrication. So my background is material science engineering. We are a tech transfer office, like all the tech transfer offices that you find at all the top universities in the world. So all the patents get filed in our office, and then if you think of it from financial terms, you know, that patent sitting on our books is a liability. So it's our mission to turn that liability into a corresponding asset. That asset can be in the form of a license to a company, that could be a large company, or it could be a license to a small startup. From a return on investment perspective, all government spending on R&D that goes on into the universities, the highest return on investment will come from startups. Because at the end of the day, what governments want increasingly is the impact of universities on things such as climate change, sustainability, and job creation. So if you have a startup that is successful, it doesn't have to be a unicorn, but an economist would say the value multiplier effects downstream, the taxes paid, the accountants hired, the lawyers hired, the venture capitalists who have to come in. So all these are multiplier effects in the economy. They cascade downwards. And so when I joined the university back in 2013, the challenge back then was that NTU, you know, yes, it was a second university in Singapore, not the top university. National University of Singapore is the top university. And we were a very young university. So there was no condition precedent for turning PhDs into entrepreneurs, okay? And that's really our mission, to turn PhDs into entrepreneurs. So that's the goal we set out to do, because we recognize that if government is going to fund the R&D, at some point in the future, they will ask, what is my return on investment? If you look at government budgets, you know, they can choose to spend their money on old age healthcare. They can choose to spend their money on education. They can choose to spend it on national R&D. They can choose to spend it on the military and defense. So if they choose to spend it on research and development at the universities, then at some point the government wants some form of payback. That payback may be solutions to address climate change and sustainability, solutions to generate new jobs and industries for the economy, because I think if you look at disruption from the Fortune 500 companies' perspective, many companies today get disrupted from technologies outside what we call the 2 standard deviation bell curve. So if you are creating new graduates that work in Fortune 500 companies, many of these companies potentially may not be around in 10, 20 years' time. But then the government has an intrinsic desire to make sure that there is sufficient industry that can create good jobs for its graduates, because no country wants to create, no country wants an educated, unemployed workforce. If you leave that and you don't attend to that problem, you get societal problems. You get, revolution, okay? So if you study history, revolutions come from rich-poor divide. And if the system is stacked against new graduates who don't have meaningful jobs, they are going to revolt and they're going to cause trouble. So, so that's why we set about trying to create new startups, new industries. Our challenge was that we had no history. So then how do you go about doing it? Well, you start from, I used to think it was 80-20 rule, right? In 80-20 rule in life is 20% of your efforts account for 80% of your outcomes. In effect, when we started, the discovery was 95-5, right? Only 5% of your students and your researchers have a real interest in that. So then, okay, fine. So the secret sauce to what Hungary and what Budapest wants to do is really to activate the FOMO mechanism, fear of missing out. Every human being fears missing out. They want to chase success. So you need to activate that fear of missing out mechanism where if you can show the pathway and create 1, 2, 3 poster childs of success out of millions of people and give them 150% of the help that you can give them, these then blaze the trail. All right, it's like, I'm fond of telling this story where 65-year-old faculty member from Oxford University sold his biotech startup, and we were sitting together for lunch with a venture capitalist. And the 65-year-old professor said, so what am I going to do with that $100 million that I made from selling my biotech company? And the venture capitalist said, I think you should go out and buy that new V12 Ferrari. So the professor says, but I'm 65 years old. What am I going to do with that stupid red Ferrari? He says, no. Even if you have to drive it at 30 kilometers an hour, do so. Drive it and park it in front of the dean's office and let it be the shining example for all the rest of your students and faculty members to aspire to. If he can do it, I can do it too, right? So it's formal behavior. And so that's what we what we tried to do. And we, in the last 10 years, created about 70 companies worth in aggregate about US $1 billion. And it's still a journey for us because we look at MIT and we look at Stanford and we're still in awe of the value that they have created for society. And that's really what we aspire to.
But it's an amazing story. Thank you very much for this. I will go out and look out for those Ferraris here in Budapest, maybe in a few years' time. Professor Zhang, you are Vice Dean of Fudan University, one of the leading universities in the world. That's a big deal. And can you tell us how you match talent with entrepreneurship? What is your secret sauce? One of our challenges here in Hungary is that we have a lot of very smart researchers, but they are not interested in business at all. So how do you make this connection?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for having me here. I think very inspiring ideas for this forum, this 2 days forum. And I also impressed last year when last September with our delegation to Budapest. We visited a lot of the university, the Fudan University, I think the Loran University, Metro University, also Comenius University. Just as you mentioned that innovation is always be mentioned in those universities. But today, if we take a look at China, I think the most challenge for the university is the IR tech. Not just for Fudan, but I think for all the universities in China, and I believe also for all universities in other places. So for Fudan, we take this challenge. We have a very, I think, overall strategy vision, because we think that the AI is not confined as a single discipline or major, but rather as a fundamental, I think, technology that empower a multiple of the industry. So likely wise that AI is not exclusive to a single group also. not just for students, but also for the faculties. So we, for Fudan's experience, we take two strategies to tackle this challenge. The first strategy, I think, for our daily course. This year, Fudan initiates a new curriculum system. I think we call it AI best course. It's for, I think, 4 tiers. The first tier is a basic course, AI basic course. Second is AI essential course. The third is the AI subject course. And the fourth is the AI thematical course. For the AI basic course, it's open for all students. Ensure that even those students with no prior knowledge about AI can grab basic AI knowledges, but not just knowledges, also to let them understand the ethical consideration in AI. It's first tier. The second tier, the AI essential course, focus on the advanced knowledge that tailor for students aspiring to become innovation in this field. And then there are AI subject course, which integrates AI with various disciplines. For instance, medical students deliver into AI application in medical imaging and something like that. And finally, we have the AI thematical course. That one is oriented the hand-on practice by partnering with industry leaders to tackle real-world challenges, just as you someone mentioned that. So this comprehensive framework, students get not only theoretical knowledge about the AI, but also the early exposure to the industry needs. It's the first strategy. The second strategy is that we have initiated a new, I think, the educational system for the young students coming into university. That we, in fact, we create 4 new colleges. That is not based on the traditional the uni discipline. And for example, the school for the integrated circuits and the micro-nano electronical, this college, it implements that's 1 students, 1 chip program that enhance every undergraduate students could to join the program to design their own chips. So this process, I think, inherently bridges the research and the industry. The second school, the school for the computing and the intelligence. For this school, it's adopt a mentorship system led by the academia level faculty, providing students with access to top industry and academic experience early in their education. And for the third school for the biomedical engineering and technology, this school is focused on the interdisciplinary talent needs, teaching students to combine AI with biomedicine to solve some practical problems. And the last one is School for the Intelligence, Robotics, and Advanced Technology. So for this school, they concentrate on developing multidisciplinary talents equipped for future technology demands. So this academy not only just put, I think, provide rigorous academic training, but also incorporates with some practice-oriented education, industry collaboration, for example, with Alibaba Clouds Ants Group, and also some hospital, because Fudan, we have the top one in China, for example, Huashan University affiliated to Fudan, that's to integrate that. So I think this for this new system, these 4 colleges, they laying a very solid foundation for the students, not just knowledge, just as mentioned Professor Levin, that I think a deeper innovation, not just knowledge, but knowledge and also the very, I think, practical problems to bridge them together. So thank you very much.
Well, it's a fascinating structure you have. How long have you been teaching AI?
Excuse me?
How long the Fudan University have been teaching AI? because in Hungary, some of the universities are just starting now. So I'm just curious how many years of advance you have.
For example, I think that we have some discipline for related disciplines. But for last year and this year, we have the new programs. I just mentioned the two strategy.
This is an amazing set of new faculties. This is wonderful. Mr. BAUMANIS, you mentioned that UniLab has this tailored mentorship for your students. How long a course takes, and how long does it take for researchers, students bringing their own ideas or their research themes to turn it into a business idea? Maybe the commercialization obviously comes sometimes years later, but what is the process? How do you guide them through?
Yeah, so actually we have, as I began with, we have to begin early on. So when we begin, like there are multiple programs actually what we do. We begin with aspiring and inspiring about becoming an entrepreneur. So this is sort of we're having multiple, and actually I kind of want to follow up on what Mr. To said, is setting an example of successful founders and successful entrepreneurs. And actually this is exactly what we are doing. So like I mean, in practice it's not that hard actually, just organizing multiple guest lectures across all the universities of successful founders and telling their stories, how they have gone it through. So this is actually the looking from the maturity timeline perspective, this is like the first thing what we do, like systematically organizing different kind of both workshops and guest lectures on successful and also failed startup founders, and telling their stories to inspire the young generation and students to, and also scientists to be, at least explore becoming entrepreneurs. So this is what they do in early. Next, and this is always not enough. Obviously, this is something very, very small. Then we also have a specific program on deep tech training. So there are multiple people who even don't know that there is such an opportunity, and very often people are afraid of, like, for example, VC investors always say, "I don't know nothing about science, so I don't invest in it." I mean, but I think that's the most horrible answer you can give. It's like it doesn't compliment you at all, I think, if you say so, because I think it's the logic is a bit different investing in deep tech. Yeah, we have like a training on that, and it's supported also by our investment and development agency. So basically, we have a 5 weeks course, and it's free for anybody. Of course, we screen those participants, but still, it's free for everyone who wants to participate in that training. But then there is the focus that we have, like 2 types of focuses we're having when these ideas mature and there's a real founder team, at least incomplete, but at least there's somebody to work with, and we could call it a team because it's never a single founder is never a team. So we have the sort of the pre-accelerator stage where it's 3 months when it's an intensive hands-on mentorship and training, and then it's another 3 months because like our approach is that we assign established founders or serial entrepreneurs or private business angels as sort of we call them business development advisors. So we attach them to the teams. So we have like a relevant experience and track record business development advisor working hands-on with a particular team and bringing this team from day one till the program ends. And so it's the first 3 months, it's actually heavy training. It's developing the fundraising and technology development roadmap. Then it's another 3 months initial execution of this roadmap. And then there's another 3 months, which is, so to say, free float, where like it's more about the relationship, a long-lasting relationship between business development advisors and the founders, so they can, it's based on equity compensation, so they can carry on with this their cooperation, and we try to financially support at least these first steps. But as our objective is that these early teams become investable, at least for the early stage investments. So hopefully after those 6 to 9 months, they're able to attract their first funding. And there are multiple public programs also also available for R&D activities. So this is equity-free funding, which is still in place. So this is basically the university focus. So it's still the focus of universities. It can be, the founders can be either employees or researchers, students, whatever, but it's university affiliation. It can also be, none of them mentioned previously, but it can be also a university IP that is being commercialized and transferred to the startup. That's also a legit target for us. And the other one is there is a challenge which we use as an opportunity. It's defense tech. So we're also exploring this opportunity and being quite active in that. And there is quite an extensive cooperation already among Baltic states. And yeah, we're super active in that field as well.
It's quite a hot topic right now. Yes.
Literally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for this insight. Mr. Landven, my daughter, my oldest daughter, is getting ready for medical school. And she's so concerned. She has no idea what type of doctor she should become. And when I tell her, those professions haven't been even invented, what you can do in 10 years' time or 15 years' time, what would you suggest to my daughter, which way to go, how her talent should be trained and developed, and what type of schools she should be looking for? And can she become an entrepreneur as a doctor? I've heard that some American universities already are giving trainings for doctors in engineering, deep tech, AI, diagnostics. What would you recommend a medical student from Hungary to do?
The first recommendation I have for any student in medical school or elsewhere is go with your passion. Go where you feel you will deliver, where you feel you will be happy, and where you think that you can change the world. And what you do may be different. I think we are seeing convergence. Before I address that, I would like to come back to the also to the point that David Toe made earlier about the Ferrari. I think it's a very good example, the notion of role model, what you can show. I think it might work even better with younger generation, with an electric car that would have the same prestige, but that's still yet to come. But more seriously, if you think of our own role models, among my role models, there is a philosopher and an economist. The philosopher is Voltaire. The economist is John Maynard Keynes. What is the common point between these two personalities? They were both very successful business people, but history has not mentioned that in any way, as if it was something to be ashamed of. Yes, they made money, but no, they are thinkers. That's much better. I think we are moving to a world where not only the two are compatible, but if you can be successful in one area, you should be able to show at least your ability to be successful in another. You're going to be a much better role model for new generation. So coming back to your daughter and let's say the new generation, one of my latest books is called The Future is Young, which can be read in two ways. The future belongs to younger generation, and the future is young enough for us to shape it. It's not too late. When it comes to following your passion, what we see is that, indeed, in all of the top education institutions, there is this engineer diversity, whereby, of course, there's something which is your major. It is where you want to specialize. But adding skills to that coming from other areas will make you not only a better performer in your own area of choice, of passion, but also a better performer in this world where we cannot even define what the jobs will be in 5 years, 10 years from now. One of the precursors of that approach in Europe has been Aalto in Finland, where you could not decide to be an engineer and only an engineer. You had to choose that your major would be in engineering, and you had to elect minors in business or economics and in design or arts. And these people, 3 years after Aalto was created, were getting the highest paychecks in all of Europe. So there was a demand from industry. We're going to see more of that. We're going to see combinations by which people acquire skills in areas that not even thought of. And this is what I call real diversity. Very often, we tend to summarize diversity by saying, yes, we want to have in the same place people from Hungary, from China, from India, from Africa. This is one part of diversity. It's a very important one. And some parts of the world are better equipped for that. Singapore, for instance, has been, since it became into existence, a multicultural, multi-confessional society. So somehow it is embedded in the society in Singapore to be a diverse society. In other parts of the world, for instance, Korea, Japan, have a very idiosyncratic language that makes it difficult. It's an additional hurdle to create diversity locally. But these countries are striving and succeeding at doing it. So when it exists, it should be built upon. When it does not exist, it needs to be created. But I think the new generations are going to surprise us even more than we anticipate.
Certainly hope so. Mr. To, you mentioned that you are trying to create PhDs into entrepreneurs. What is the recipe? How do you do that? Most PhDs in Hungary are just so proud of their science and they don't necessarily want to be engaged with business.
Yeah, so again, starting from that 95 and 5% rule, you identify 5% of the student cohort, PhD students, who seek to translate their research work into some impactful outcome. And we started from there because we recognize that we can't change culture, we can't change mindset overnight. It took 10 years to arrive at where we are today in terms of the changed mindset. So today, more and more of our PhD students aspire to start companies around their innovations. But the other thing also is that once you identify those 5%, you really need to put 150, 200% efforts to make sure that they don't make stupid mistakes. Stupid mistakes in business, meaning two things. One, in the legal aspects of setting up a business, and two, the financing aspects in setting up a business. So we were very careful to advise our startup founders on matters of, company incorporation, shareholders agreement, articles of constitution, what would be a good VC term sheet and what would be a bad VC term sheet, what is a 3x liquidation preference clause, what is a full ratchet clause. So we educated them and said, don't take VC term sheets that are very detrimental to you. This shareholder agreement is very bad for you. So once we were able, it's like trying to push that Ferrari down uphill, right? So all the stars really have to be aligned in order for that engine to start if you're trying to push it uphill. And once you get the momentum going, past the peak of the hill and it starts to gather momentum downwards, then everything kind of falls into place. But the other thing so for PhD students, generally the problem, and with scientists, is that somewhere around 50 to 70% of all the science that comes out from PhD research is not purpose-suited for the original invention that they sought to address. Meaning that when I start my PhD, it's a 4-year program, I had this thesis that I want to go and do something in this research on this subject. 4 years later, when you complete your PhD, you would think that, the market still has a problem in this area, therefore I'm going to start a company for this problem. But we advise the PhD students, after doing some market studies, that you have to pivot, you have to change, because industry already has a solution for that problem. And these are the reasons why you don't want to go down there. And therefore, you need to pivot into a different application. So I counter-checked this information with my friends from Breakthrough Energy, Bill Gates' Climate Ventures program. And they said that 70% of PhD science has to be repurposed for a different application in the market. And we find that very often to be the case as well with our PhD students, that one of our projects for fetal monitoring. When they spun out, they wanted to do cardiac heart monitoring. So we said, Omron's got a device for that. You can get different types of commoditized devices to monitor your heart. But your science is predicated on signal-to-noise ratio, and therefore your superpower should really be looking at baby monitoring when the lady is pregnant, right? So why is that? Because you have two heartbeats in the human body right then, and the weaker heartbeat is the baby's heartbeat, the stronger heartbeat is the mother's heartbeat. But if your algorithm can detect this weaker heartbeat and tell me how good is that heartbeat against the stronger heartbeat of the mother's, you have a winning proposition. So we told the students that you have to pivot from your cardiac monitoring to fetal monitoring. Okay, that was a project started 10 years ago. They didn't listen to us, okay? 1 year later, after discovering that the market had no need for cardiac monitoring, they came back and said, you were right, we're going to pivot into fetal monitoring now. And so now the company is doing well, they're scaling to the US, blah, blah, blah. But product market fit and business model are the two key challenges that PhD students don't have a grasp on. And we try to help shine the pathway so that whatever project that we create is investable from the time they start the company.
Well, thank you so much. Time really flies. We have only 8 minutes to go from this 1 hour. It's amazing. We just started talking. Professor Zhang, can you very briefly summarize for me how you balance entrepreneurial skills with maintaining high level of science at the university?
Okay. So before I tell the story of the Fudan, I will telling you my feeling of the keynote speech yesterday by the premier and the governors. That's inspired me. That's to answer this question. I think their strategy, their political strategy, is not just to solve the problem, but I find that they have a very important philosophy roots, also a historical and a cultural roots. For example, the concept of the Eurasia. I think it's not just a tactical policy orientation, but have a very, I think, deep philosophy roots about that. So come to Fudan, we know that for the university, we have consistently emphasized the importance of the integrating industry, academia, and the research. But to implementing this integration is quite challenging. And I think that traditionally, innovation model driven by the university tends to emphasize on the efficiency in patent outputs. But it's often, I think, fall short in terms of effectively in translating results, the result into the practical applications. So for Fudan, I think for our university, we do not only just to emphasize the practice aligned with the demand of the real world, but also place the importance of on the fostering academic rigor and the theoretical advancements in the whole process. So I will take the AI thematical course I just mentioned as the example. So this course covers the full spectrum from basic research to application development. But students require not only to master the fundamental logic of the AI, but also to apply theoretical knowledge to complex real-world problems, so practice projects. So in those courses, nearly every teaching team invites the one side is the academia, I think professors, but other side we will invite the contributors from the industry and the research institutions, top talents from the leading organizations in various sectors, such as the Sino Corp, and I just mentioned the Alibaba and the Ant Group, and the other institutions. They are participants in course instruction, also the course designs. So we were setting up a cutting-edge practical topic for the students. So I think this educational model cultivates students' engineering thinking while ensure academic rigor. So I think to have this balance is so important for the universities I think, education for the students. So it's my answer.
Thank you, Professor Chang. Let's go in reverse order now. So, Mr. To, can you give us a 1-minute summary of what is your message to universities here in Hungary and for those participants who represent Eurasia?
Okay, so I think fundamentally the ability to create deep tech, impactful startups that will create new industries and new jobs for society is predicated on good fundamental science. So I had dinner with a Hungarian professor 2 nights ago, and I said, why is Hungary so good at producing Nobel laureate science? You have the highest number of Nobel laureate scientists per capita in the world. But where's the industry? Why hasn't it happened? So he says, we've all become refugees. We're all in the US, we're all in UK, blah, 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 you know? So I understand there was some communist legacy as well. But I would say my message to Hungary is that if Singapore can do it, you guys can do it. You have good science, okay? So I'm an engineer. I'm also a banker, financier. And it's critical that the raw substrate, good science, good fundamental science, is where you start to build industry on.
Thank you so much. Mr. Lanwell, what's your thought for a penny?
For
a penny.
Well, I think our discussion shows that skills need to be combined. Okay? At some point, we need to get away from specialization. We should also refrain from thinking that there are creative skills and then business skills. Business skills are not homogeneous. I can talk from my own personal experience teaching at INSEAD. We have a number of people who have been successful at creating their own startups. Some even come with their Ferraris on campus. 1 year involvement or 18 months is $120,000. So, and for them, that is not the main cost. The main cost is the opportunity cost of being away from their business for 18 months. So it is an investment. And the first thing we tell them is, you have skills. You have been successful, but what got you here may not take you there. So the kind of business skills you need for the next stage, the growing of your company, may be radically different from the ones you have demonstrated until now. And maybe the first decision you will take as founder and CEO of your company is to fire yourself. And 50% of them do. So the kind of skills you need at a certain stage of development of your venture may be radically different. So this goes against what I said before. Let's not specialize, but let's not be afraid of segmenting the skills as we want to teach them through universities.
Thank you so much. Very deep. Mr. BAUMANIS, can you give us a conclusion from this discussion?
I'm not sure whether I can combine everything together, but I have a few takeaways for sure. That, well, first of all, I think that in terms of the question of what is the outlook of the education and innovation and methods on that is like, to me, I think it's quite obvious that the e-learning and the different digital tools for customized, personalized, and accessible education, that's the future to go, and that will be in place in no other way around it. And for example, we have like a company called Orbitate. That's a edtech company already in place. We use algorithm that is used by European Space Agency to recruit people, put in space shuttles and send to moon or whatever. So this is a way to go, and I believe that the focus on STEM education and the entrepreneurship will be the main focus. My point on what I wanted to emphasize and to wrap this up is that the question is what I think we could learn cross-regionally on this, and I think that from my perspective, what we could learn, at least in Baltics, I believe, but I believe in much greater broad actually in Europe at large, is the speed of technology transfer that is done and in Asia. And the depth at which the industrial needs are integrated into the research, and then the consequential technology transfer to the industry. I think that is something, and the speed of it. This is something that we could, for example, have a takeaway from Asia. in Europe and this regional. Yeah, that's my takeaway.
Thank you very much. Great conclusion. Professor John, did you want to add something?
Just one sentence. That I think we should have two legs. The one leg to catch up the high tech, but another leg should root on, I think, the culture, the history, and the philosophy of ourselves. So just one sentence.
Very smart. Do you think it's too late for me to start again? Well, I get really motivated about this discussion. Thank you so much for your contribution. And I'm really looking forward to continue the discussion later on. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Szabó, for guiding us through this brilliant discussion, and thank you to all the participants for their valuable insights. You gave us plenty of ideas to remember. Thank you very much. Now we have a short break, then we are going to continue our program with a keynote conversation and closing remarks. See you soon.
For researchers like myself who look at the political economy of finance and financial technology, Shanghai is definitely an important location and one that shouldn't be missed. So Fudan being at the heart of Shanghai, both at the academic and market side of finance, makes a big difference.
Shanghai is definitely a very good destination for foreigners to visit this country and to learn about China.
It's been really great to meet so many people across the Fudan community, from undergraduates to graduates to postdoctoral scholars and professors. And I think the space here at FDI is wonderful to work at. I'm able to work at different coffee shops in front of the lawn around Guanghua Lowell in this building, and it's just been a wealth of people, ideas, and places here that I've been very grateful for.
As a university academic, there's a danger that we would stay in a small circle of people who think the same way, that we live in the library. FDDI as a think tank was very useful for me to meet people in the business sector, meet people in political sectors, and I could bring their opinions into my research.
The international environment for the job market is very difficult at the moment for early career scholars, and I really wanted something that would give me an edge. And in fact, the FDDI program provided me with that edge.
What I liked about FDDI was that I had a chance to meet other experts of several areas, and also the audience at my two presentations was quite interactive, which I liked. For example, at my presentation about how the Belt and Road Initiative impacts the energy security of China, we discussed security issues involved.
We have a very unique style of work here. It's very friendly, academic, highly recreational, and interchanging. For example, we go out and see places, we share our experiences of life together, we take photographs, we take videos, and then we laugh.
So at FDDI, there was a lot of freedom to work. We had good facilities. The staff was really, really helpful. I think if you really want to do any good visiting fellowship in China, FDDI gives you the best.
It's pretty clear that, that China and Shanghai and Fudan University is a very, very, very dynamic place. Have never experienced such a dynamic institution as Fudan University, and that's also encouraging for me. China is a leading power in economy, but becoming very soon, I guess, also a leading power in academic research and teaching.
The program is an epitome of the diversity in Fudan. We have brilliant people from both academia and industry, and we have achievements in both research and practices. Diversity is always the key word here in FDDI, and that is why how we win top talents and inspire great ideas here.
Connecting people, sharing knowledge.
Connecting people, sharing knowledge.
Connecting people, sharing knowledge.
The MMB proudly announces the carbon neutrality of all its conferences, and as all of them, this is also a carbon-free event. With reforestation towards a greener financial system, 50,000 trees herald the central bank's green transition, and this number will increase in every year. The Hungarian Central Bank was among the first in Europe to receive an environmental sustainability mandate as one of its core tasks. Magyar Nemzeti Bank promotes the green transition of the financial system through incentive programs, recommendations, analyses, and discussion papers. The Hungarian Central Bank intends to set an example for Hungarian financial institutions by reducing and neutralizing its own carbon footprint. In line with this objective, the MMB offsets its carbon emissions caused by its own operation by financing habitat restoration projects every year. The MMB implemented a smaller pilot project in Pápoteszér as a start. Then, in 2022, it financed a reforestation project the size of almost 40 football fields in Gest in order to offset the impact of emissions from its own operations. The central bank is committed to maintaining this practice in the future.
Welcome back, everyone, at the Budapest Eurasia Forum 2024. We have already reached the end of our regular program, and now it is my pleasure to announce our last professional program, a keynote conversation between Mr. Csaba András, Deputy Governor of the Magyar Nemzeti Bank, and Mr. Hans-Joachim Schellnhuber, Director General of the International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis. Mr. Schellnhuber led the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research from 1992 to 2018 as their founding director. Since 2019, Mr. Schellnhuber has been focusing his scientific work and communication skills on the transformation of the built environment with a specific emphasis on the climate restoration potential of regenerative architecture. Mr. Deputy Governor András, Director General Schellnhuber, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And if you allow me, hello, John.
Hello, Csaba. Is that right?
Yeah, perfect. And this is the closing keynote conversation at the Budapest Eurasia Forum. And we will focus on this forum, the keywords of success, talent, knowledge, technology, and capital. And over the centuries, these four pillars have enabled nations to transform, innovative, and prosper. However, today the driving force of success is shifting from capital to talent, underscoring the role of human capability in steering technological advancement, knowledge creation, and the deployment of resources. So during this discussion, we will explore how these elements are interconnected in addressing pressing global challenges. But knowing that this is the closing keynote conversation, we are not explore totally, just touch a couple of things. But before that, what I would like to ask that we are in Budapest right now, in Middle East, Middle Europe, halfway east, halfway west, halfway north and south. What do you think? Budapest is matters that we are here and we are talking about here in this Eurasia topic, and especially this. As you see, we could gather a lot of experts, professors, talented people, east, west, north, south. It is matters.
Yeah, let me say the following. When I was first invited to come here, I was not completely convinced it would be worthwhile, actually. And I had in a way, competing event, which I had accepted for a long time. Actually, it was a meeting with the King of England, Charles III, whom I have known for a long time. So it was yesterday, so I was flying into Budapest last night, but I have attended the sessions this morning, and in the afternoon, I have to say I'm deeply impressed by this, because you have now another big global meeting in parallel in Baku, in Azerbaijan. It's the COP29, where about 50,000 people come together. And what are they talking about? Financing, climate management, and they talk about trillions of dollars, and probably they may come up with a lukewarm compromise in the end, which will achieve very little. These conferences are necessary in a way, as a meeting place and so on, but I think what I heard here actually has probably much more impact, and it has to do precisely. I was told yesterday you had two very important interventions by the governor and your prime minister. And I, in particular, like what the governor said on this magic triangle. You know, you have climate change, of course. And believe me, I have worked in this field for 40 years, and it is the biggest challenge for our civilization in this century. And I could elaborate on that. When you have tremendous scientific and technological progress. There was in London in parallel at the Royal Society. I was in St. James Palace, but at the Royal Society just 500 meters away, there was a meeting between the Royal Society and the leading artificial intelligence giants of the world, including Google DeepMind and so on. So I come back to high-tech a little bit later. But the third vortex in the triangle is geopolitics, of course. And I could imagine going a little bit into the matter already. We can solve the climate crisis with advanced technology if we use it right. But it may be that geopolitics will come in the way, actually. So bringing people together, and it was a lot of talk about bridge building here. But I feel, yes, Hungary, Budapest, your theme, talents, capital, and so on, is the right theme of the time, actually. If we are not able to bring them together, we will all be toast, actually. You may know this is going to be the hottest year on record. We have extreme events all over the world. We are going into a climate region beyond 2 degrees warming, which will become unmanageable, definitely, unless we use the best of our minds and the best of our souls, actually, in order to bring people together. It's a long answer to a simple question, but yes, I believe, I'm convinced now personally that the Eurasian Forum, because it does not just look across the Atlantic, it looks east, it looks south, it looks north, it looks still west, of course. This Eurasian Forum is part of the solution.
Yeah, the last couple of years we experienced a couple of era in terms of there was the tech era when fintech and subtech and this issue was the successful words, and then there was a green era, and now we are in somehow in the sustainability era, and sustainability, it means that it's increasingly a focus in academic and startup communities. And what do you think, what is your view that how can universities and innovation hubs better leverage talents to drive advancements in climate science and sustainability. What steps can they take to foster a culture that both advanced technology and deeply embeds sustainability values? How do you see that?
Okay. Of course, in the last panel, there was a discussion about that. So clearly, the gold standard today is interdisciplinary to work, interdisciplinary work, even at the university level. I studied physics and mathematics. I did a little bit of philosophy, of technology, things like that. I've now had many interactions, for example, with economists and people from other disciplines. This is the gold standard now. But we cannot stop there. You have to make clear, once you have a degree, a master degree, a PhD from Oxford University or Budapest or Tsinghua University in Beijing, where I'm a visiting professor, for example, this is not the end, this is the beginning. But when you have to pick a mission, so to speak, so I very much like mission-driven science in a sense, what is a big problem you would like to contribute to solve, clearly? And then you have to think in a completely different way, because you have to think about impact then. So many problems have been solved. And come back to artificial intelligence. I just looked at the article in The Guardian today. It was about this meeting of the Royal Society and Google DeepMind and so on. Some of Nobel laureates there, and we met actually in Rome 4 weeks ago also. And one of them said, well, there will be an AI Fukushima very soon. You know what that means? It means that there will be a major accident, incident. It was very hard to contain. This was one of the pioneers, actually, of artificial intelligence. So you see, the mission means make the best use of disruptive technology. It's very disruptive in every part of our life, but be aware that it may go terribly wrong at the same time. So that means if you are a scholar, if you are a bright person, whether you are an economist, an engineer, a scientist, whoever, a medical person, be aware that your wisdom brings along tremendous responsibility. And this responsibility has to be taken. Unfortunately, we live in an age where everybody tries to shirk responsibility, avoid responsibility. You don't want to be held responsible for making a mistake. But yes, we will actually have to go through Fukushimas even in using our most advanced knowledge in order to save this planet, absolutely. So you see, the role of a scientist, the role of an economist, it has become much more complicated. Why? Because we are living in an age of tremendous global risks, of course. It has been similarly in the 15th, 16th century, for example. Again, there is this Chinese saying, I hope it's genuine, that you wish people to live in boring times. Because in boring times, you sit in your comfort zone, and everybody would like to sit there for a while. We are not living in boring times anymore.
Yeah, and this is the second time that you mentioned the AI. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you that technology is a key driver of change. And the AI only, or what do you think, which emerging technologies do you believe hold the most potential to transform climate resilience and sustainable development over the next decade? So we will enter an AI era just, or do you see any other technologies?
We didn't design the questions, but I love your question. It's precisely to my point, actually, because as I said, we had a meeting. I'm a member of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, that is the Pope's Academy. I'm not a Catholic. This academy is assembling 80 people only. 30 of us are Nobel laureates. And so we just made Demis Hassabis from Google DeepMind a new member. And the motto of the last assembly was the following. It was, in a way, high-tech meets no-tech. And I mean no-tech, not low-tech. Combustion engine is low-tech. People still think this is rocket science. This is, my God, middle-tech at best. High-tech meets no-tech means we have not really used, and it was mentioned that I'm now passionate about the built environment, and I can tell you why. This is the biggest construction and so on, is the biggest business on earth, using most of the energy and materials and so on. It's the elephant in the sustainability room nobody thinks of, actually. But we have a solution there. So, no-tech is the pool of evolutionary solutions we have. Nature is still providing solutions to almost everything. So why do you think we are sitting here in this room not wearing masks like we did in COVID times? I was not here, but probably it was a bit annoying at that time because we have these messenger RNA vaccines now. Why were they developed over 6 months only? It was the combination of using our natural immune system, an evolutionary solution to avoid diseases, plus artificial intelligence in order to create the right genetic intervention. 20 years ago, it would have taken 10 years to develop in the lab the vaccine. So you see, but the immune system is a natural solution. It was developed over 300,000 years for the Homo sapiens. And I give you another example, the tree. The tree came into being 400 million years ago, and ever since this system has been optimized by evolution. It's the best material in the world, actually. So, for example, I give you a mind-boggling solution to the climate problem. If we would convert the built environment, so this is probably plastic and concrete and so on, this building is made from cement and steel, where tremendous amounts of CO2 were emitted while building it. If this building would be done from timber and bamboo and hemp and so on, natural regrowing materials, it would not emit carbon, it would actually extract carbon from the atmosphere, because when a tree grows by photosynthesis, it lives on CO2, on our sort of garbage emitted. So you see, if we would convert the built environment into organic materials, we could actually even clean up the atmosphere again and undo global warming, if we do it at the right scale. So you see, and here again, those companies who are most advanced in building even skyscrapers now, the Atlassian Tower in Sydney will be the highest building built from timber and so on in the world. They do it with artificial intelligence again. They prefabricate the elements and put them together on site. So it's a revolution in construction, actually, through machine learning, but using natural materials. So the motto is, again, high-tech meets no-tech, brain meets tree, girl meets boy.
And probably this is my last question, but I'm very curious, what is your opinion that we are in the Eurasia Forum, and mostly the Eurasia countries are developing countries who would like to reach a better life, a qualified life, but the price of this life, the competitiveness and the productivity and so on the other hand, it seems that it's an unbalanced position, because it's harming the green gas emission, the CO2 emission, and it's very hard to find the balance between not harming the climate but reaching a developed status. And we see, for instance, Chinese 30-60 plan that's till 2030 they are still increasing the emission and then reduce it. And what I experienced personally, I really believe that they will reach this target faster than they expected. But do you see any good examples who could find somehow the balance between being competitive but not harming the climate and somehow reach this balanced status?
Again, that is a question deserving a long-winded answer, clearly. Let me say just a few things. I'm actually setting out for a journey to China, to Korea and Vietnam in the next 2 weeks. So starting in Beijing, and what China has done regarding energy system is just amazing. The investment into renewable energies. And here I give you an example. The most impressive learning curve we have seen over the last decades is the cost and the learning, so to speak, the progress on renewable energy. If you look at photovoltaics. So if people discuss the energy system, we talk about all types of things: nuclear energy, fusion, wind energy, offshore, onshore. I can tell you, according to all our studies, there are just 2 winners in the energy system in the long run. That means energy available everywhere, even for people in developing countries. That is photovoltaics and geothermal energy. Do you know that? Do you know where the photovoltaics come from? Of course you know. It's the sun. It's the biggest fusion reactor in our solar system, of course. But do you know where the geothermal energy comes from? Well, it's nuclear decay in the core of our planet. It's a huge nuclear reactor which we can use for free. Now, if we look into what will be the cheapest power in 2030, we find all over the world, it will be photovoltaics, for example. So because we invented first photovoltaics, Bell Lab, 1950s, because Germany, through a financial instrument, the feed-in tariff, kicked off with evolution. China took it up, subsidizes heavily. That's all over the world. We can bring is at almost no cost to sub-Saharan Africa, for example. It's a huge success story, and the same will happen with organic architecture and many other things. So if we keep on developing our skills, actually, if we work together, and if we are not allowing the world to be divided again in, I heard it this morning, in a Cold War 2.0 or 3.0 even, when we can actually combine and reconcile development and the protection of the natural environment. So I'm absolutely optimistic about that.
Wow. Well, I think this is a perfect closing answer. So, John, thank you very much. Your time, it's a privilege that you are here and you shared your views. We just touched a couple of things, but I'm pretty sure that sooner than later we will have to meet again, hopefully here in Budapest, and continue our conversation. Thank you very much.
It would be my pleasure to be invited again for 2 full days next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Governor András and Director General Schellhuber, for this exciting and inspirational conversation. Dear all, what an exciting, interesting, successful and rewarding 2 days we just had. More than 50 speakers from 15 different countries have guided us through the most topical and intriguing questions of finance, technology, geopolitics, economy, multilateral cooperation and education. Despite the challenges of recent times, it is truly delightful that we can welcome more and more guests here in Budapest. In the previous years, the Budapest Eurasia Forum became an international platform where representatives of different segments of the economy and the society can gather to join our forward-looking, innovative and inclusive mission for Eurasian cooperation. As closing of the forum's program, I would like to invite Mr. Barnabás Virág, Deputy Governor of the Magyar Nemzeti Bank, to deliver some concluding thoughts and major takeaways. Deputy Governor, the floor is yours.
So dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as it was mentioned, we are getting to the end of our 2 days conference. So I have prepared with 30 minutes closing remarks. So let me summarize my talks. Of course, it was a joke. So because I'm in a very tough situation now, because after so many very interesting discussions, thought-provoking ideas and arguments, it's pretty hard to say any news as a closing remarks. But let me to add some talks to the conference we had in this year. So as it was mentioned by Governor Matolcsi, we are living in a very unique environment. So he said that's the crossroad of the time. I think it's clearly true, but I can say we are living in the crossroad of the megatrends. So I think it's a very unique environment, maybe in the human history. So I think there will no such a short time period in the human history where so many megatrends got to the tipping point to change, to formulate our life in a very different direction. What are these megatrends? I want to mention 4: the demographic trends, the climate issue, the technological revolution, and the last one is the geopolitical environment. So it's clear that in the coming years, these are the key forces which will formulate our economies, which will formulate our life. I think we know well here in the central bank that in some cases there is the so-called impossible trinity, the impossible triangle. In our life, I think it's a well-known phenomenon in a central bank. But now I think these new megatrends generate a new impossible triangle for the politicians, for the policymakers, for the society. So what is this triangle? So of course, on the one hand, we have to speed up the transitions in many fields, in the green transition, in digital transition, we have to build up new infrastructures. So we have to deliver a lot of transitions in our economy. On the second point is we have to deal with the debt to GDP exposure in our economies, because it reached a very high level nowadays. And the third point is the social cohesion. So of course, it's key for all of the policymakers. We have to maintain the social cohesion. So I think that's the new impossible trinity for us, to find those solutions which can support all of the key points of this triangle. So there are no low-hanging fruits. So we can say, okay, let's come, let's talk, let's go to the government to fund the new transitions. It can be one solution, but at the end of the day, it will increase the very high debt ratio further and further. So that's why I'm saying there is no easy solutions. We can say, okay, it would be nice to build in the consumer prices of the new taxes which will cover the green transition. Yeah, it can be one solution, but it will hurt the social cohesion in midterm. So that's why I'm saying there are no low-hanging fruits in this impossible trinity. We need new type of solutions, and we need new type of solutions immediately, because there is no time for further hesitation. So what can be the solutions looking ahead? I strongly believe we need more cooperation instead of less cooperation. We have to speed up all of the transitions in all of the fields in our life. We need together well-targeted programs with out-of-the-box innovations. And as it was mentioned by Prime Minister Viktor Orban in the opening speech, we need sharp, smart decisions with good timing. So the time is a very important factor in the whole solution. So let me introduce a new word, a new synonym in this point of my speech. I think we know well, and it was mentioned several times, that we are living in the age of transitions. It's true. But I strongly believe that we are living in the age of platforms. So we will create platforms everywhere, within the production, in case of the services, in case of the software, in case of the money systems, for example. So of course, we need a good platforms for the good and productive ideas. So looking ahead, I strongly believe that the current forum we have here in Budapest can be a good platform for all of those who are interested in stronger and stronger cooperation between Europe and Asia, who are interested in a successful future and faster transitions in many fields. As it was mentioned, we had more than 50 speakers in the last 2 days from 50 countries. So, of course, I want to thank all of you to share your ideas, to share your views with our audience. So, of course, I personally benefited a lot from the conversations. Last but not least, I want to thank the support of my colleagues, of our colleagues here in the Central Bank of Hungary for their work. They helped us to organize this event in the last 2 days. So again, we are living in a very unique environment, in a very unique time period. But I strongly believe that we will find the proper solutions. I'm always saying to my colleagues, we are facing a lot of challenges, but we cannot let to us to be pessimistic. We have to be optimistic, looking ahead. So thank you very much again for coming to Budapest to visit and to participate in the Eurasia Forum. I hope you will have some more time to spend some days in our beautiful city and to visit our beautiful country. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the next year conference in 2025 Eurasia Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Governor Virág, for the excellent summary and your closing words. With this, we have reached the end of the Budapest Eurasia Forum 2024. Once again, I thank all our speakers and participants for sharing their great insights and our audience for staying with us till the end. And thank you to the organizers as well, who made this very complex event possible. If you missed any of the speeches or you would like to rewatch our sessions, visit the Budapest Eurasia Forum website in the upcoming days, as all the sessions will be available on demand soon. The website will also include further interesting facts and updates about the forum during the year ahead, so make sure to return to it regularly. Dear all, I wish you all a great rest of the day, and I hope that we meet again at the 6th Budapest Eurasia Forum in 2025. It was an honor to host this event for such an exceptional audience. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.